Right. Today I would like to talk about. I'm going to talk about digestion. So I just thought I'd mention that. Digestion is a physical and chemical process. It starts in the mouth, where teeth mechanically grind up food. And the name of the teeth: molars, premolars, incisors, and canines. So I just thought I'd mention that. There are three main digestive enzymes, and the role of the digestive enzymes is to break large insoluble molecules into small soluble molecules. So macromolecules into smaller building blocks macromolecules into smaller building blocks in order to facilitate the absorption into the body. So lipase is an enzyme that breaks down fats into smaller molecules called fatty acids and glycerol. So the triglyceride hydrolyzes the sorry, I just want to sorry about that. Yeah, the lipase hydrolyzes. So yeah, lipase hydrolyzes triglyceride, and it's here. I thought put it here. So I think that's how it's spelt. So it's TRIGLY glyceride. So yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so it's lipase hydrolyzes triglyceride into the fat component, fatty acids, and glycerol molecules. And then protease enzymes break down protein, again large insoluble molecules into small soluble molecules. Carbohydrates carbohydrates. I think I've spelled it here actually for you. Just if I just put that there, yeah. Carbohydrates. So it's carbohydrase. Is a set of enzymes that turn carbohydrates into simple sugars. So it breaks down polysaccharides and disaccharides into monosaccharide, which is blood sugar monosaccharide, and the most abundant and common monosaccharide is glucose. So I just thought I'd show you. So you've got the monosaccharide there, which is glucose, and another monosaccharide is fructose. So I just thought I'd say that to you, and then you've got now if you have table sugar, sucrose, like from is it sugar cane, some stuff like that that's not so good for you, that's not fruit, it's been refined. So that stuff, sucrose, and its chemical formula is C12H22O11. So it's that one. Carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And glucose and fructose make sucrose, which is a disaccharide. Sucrose is a disaccharide. And glucose together form maltose. Yeah, so maltose. So it forms that. So I just thought I'd mention that to you. So two monosaccharides equals a disaccharide. And so I just thought I'd mention that to you. Yeah, okay, thank you for that. So yes, so carbohydrates, yes, set of enzymes that turn carbs into simple sugars, and they break down polysaccharides and disaccharides like sucrose into and disaccharide is sucrose. So it's refined cane sugar that you sprinkle on your cereal or make cakes with. So as opposed to the fructose, and which is a fruit sugar. So it's like fruit, isn't it? Eating fruit. So so into monosaccharide, which is a blood sugar. The carbohydrate set of enzymes that turn carbs into simple sugar, break down polysaccharide, disaccharide into monosaccharide, which is a blood sugar. So I just thought I'd mention that. Now, you can have secretions. I'm going to talk about now. Now that's process by which gland cells have substances produced and discharged and sent or dispatched to another part of the body. So I'll just give you an example of this. Pancreas is an organ that has gland cells. Pancreas is an organ that has gland cells that produce and send substances to be secreted, discharged, dispatched to other parts of the body, namely the small intestine. So the duodenum, which is the first part of the small intestine. The trypsin is where the enzyme trypsin. So the name of this enzyme is trypsin, and it's been sent to the small intestine, and it was produced in the pancreas. So the pancreas sent it along to the duodenum, which is the first segment of the small intestine, and so this enzyme trypsin, trypsin, is digests protein, and the enzyme amylase, breaks down starch to glucose, also in the duodenum, which is the first part of the small intestine, the first segment of the small intestine. So I just thought I'd mention that to you. The duodenum is spelled. Is it duodenum or duodenum? Duodenum. I think that's how it's spelled. So I just thought I'd mention that to you. So the enzymes in the mouth are lipase, amylase, amylase, and bicarbonate, right? So they're the enzymes in the mouth, and their function are for lipase to digest fat into their function are for lipase to digest fat in the salivary glands, amylase to digest starch in the salivary glands, bicarbonate to kill bacteria and neutralize acid, also in the salivary glands. So if we just, and I just want to say something else actually while we're on the subject here. Amylase, and other carbohydrates and carbohydrates do similar things. Their functions is similar. They're enzymes that break down starch into sugar. So they're starch. The amylase and carbohydrates are starch digesting enzymes. I just thought I'd mention that to you. Right. So if we go further into the digestive journey from the mouth to the esophagus. So the esophagus is OESOPHAGUS, to transport food to the stomach. Now, it's known as a process of peristalsis. So it's spelled PERISTALSIS. So that's the name. That's what it does. It's so if we right. So So let's go for right. So we're going into the stomach now. That's the next part of the journey. So the from the mouth to the esophagus to transport food to the stomach by this process called peristalsis, PERISTALSIS, and the pepsin enzyme digests protein produced by the stomach cells, and then you've got hydrochloric acid, and it kills bacteria, and it's also produced by the stomach cells in the stomach. Renin renin is also an enzyme in the stomach that digests milk produced by stomach cells. So the role of the stomach churns the food until semi-liquid, secretes gastric juice containing water to dissolve food, absorbs alcohol, some water and some glucose, stores the food, releasing small quantities at a time. Releasing small quantities at a time into the duodenum. So I just thought, so it releases small quantities at a time to the duodenum. Duodenum, yeah. So I just thought I'd mention that. Then you have the liver cells produce bile, which is a substance that is secreted, discharged, sent to the small intestine, sent to the duodenum again, which is the first segment of the small intestine. So bile is an enzyme, and its function is to help with digestion of fats. Digestion of fats. It's produced in the liver, stored in the gallbladder. Bile is critical for digestion and absorption of fats. Bile, so liver produces bile, which emulsifies fats. So liver cells sort of sends substances to be secreted, dispatched into the small intestine, which is the duodenum. Liver produces bile. It's sent to the small intestine. So and I just want to talk about this. So bile is produced in the liver and then stored in the gallbladder before being released into the small intestine. It neutralizes the acid which was added to the food in the stomach to produce alkaline conditions in which the enzymes of the small intestine work best. It emulsifies fats, so it breaks large drops of fat into small droplets to increase their surface area. This enables the lipase enzyme to work much faster. So if we just reiterate, bile emulsifies fat, breaks fat down into tiny droplets, which gives it a much larger surface area for lipase enzyme to work on. Bile is also alkaline, so it neutralizes acid from the stomach to make the conditions right for the enzymes in the small intestine to work. So I just thought I'd mention that. Now, if we just want to talk about something else now. So we're in the first part of the small intestine, which is the duodenum. And we have I want to talk about Brunner's glands, actually. Brunner's glands? Yeah, Brunner's glands. Just thought I meant to talk about that. Yeah, Brunner's glands. Right. Now, the main function of these glands is to produce a mucus-rich alkaline secretions. Yeah, is to produce a mucus, rich alkaline secretions. And the mucus contains bicarbonate. Now, in order to protect the duodenum from acidic content of chyme introduced into the duodenum from the stomach. So this word here, chyme, I think I've got it spelled it down here for you. Yeah, CHYME, so it's chyme. CHYME. I think I'm pronouncing it properly. Now, just to say again, this chyme. Now, Brunner's glands secretes an alkaline fluid composed of mucus, rich alkaline conditions, which protect the duodenum, which is the first part of the small intestine, from the highly acidic acid from the highly acidic hydrochloric acid, um, which has come from the stomach, and the hydrochloric acid pH is very high in the stomach, and it's 1 to 3, which is very, very high, and it is about 6 in the duodenum. The pH is about 6 in the duodenum. So this chyme is actually, it's acidic fluid. It consists of gastric juice and partly digested food from the stomach. So yeah, I just thought I'd mention that. And then the trypsin enzyme in the small intestine digests protein, and it's produced in the pancreas. So it's been sent from the pancreas to the small intestine. And if I just mention this word, this is a hard word to pronounce. Right, that's CHOLECYSTOKININ. Right. Now that is hormones secreted by the cells in the duodenum, stimulate and release bile into the intestines, and secretions of enzymes by the pancreas. So yeah, that's and as we know, chyme is acidic fluid consisting of gastric juice and partly digested food from the stomach. So I just thought I'd mention that to you. So if we just have a recap here, hydrochloric acid passes from the stomach into the duodenum, and the hormone secretin, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it properly, secretin, is released. So it stimulates secretions of the liver and the pancreas. So neutralising the high acidity of the stomach. That's the role, I suppose, of the liver and the pancreas. I just thought I'd talk about that, because liver produces bile, doesn't it? As we know, the bile enters the small intestine, and bile breaks down fat into droplets called smaller droplets, something to do with emulsification, breaks down fat so that lipase has a larger surface area to work on to digest the fat completely. Just again, increases the rate at, we're talking about lipase here, increases the rate at which fat is digested by lipase. Bile neutralizes the acid produced by the stomach to provide ideal alkaline conditions for the enzymes in the small intestine to work. So, just thought I'd mention that. Now, the stomach releases its contents into the duodenum. Digestion is breakdown of large insoluble molecules into smaller soluble ones, smaller molecules, and hydrolysis is the process in which they go back to their. Hydrolysis is a chemical breakdown with water. So if I just mention here, so as I mentioned, lipase is the hydrolysis of triglyceride into their components, fat components, fatty acids and glycerol. So I just thought I'd mention that. And then protein is hydrolyzed into polypeptides, isn't it, or peptides? It goes from protease it makes proteins into amino acids and polypeptides, something like that, isn't it? I think anyway. So I just thought I'd mention that. The pancreas is to secrete digestive enzymes for all classes of food: amylase, protease, and lipase. Just thought I'd mention that. So the extraction of nutrients begins in the duodenum, right? I just thought I'd say that. Partially digested food expelled from the stomach to the small intestine. The Brunner's glands protects the duodenum, as I've already mentioned, from the chyme. So the Brunner's glands protect the duodenum from the chyme, the highly acidic contents of the stomach, the hydrochloric substance from the stomach. And then the second part of the small intestine is the duodenum. So it's J-E-J-U-N-U-M, duodenum. So J-E-J-U-N-U-M. And its primary function is absorption. And the duodenum, the inner surface is covered in projections called villi, V-I-L-L-I. And I think that's the plural. Villus, V-I-L-L-U-S is the singular. That's the role of that. So so its primary function is absorption. This J word. It's the second part of the small intestine, and its inner surface is covered in projections called V-I-L-L-I, which increases the surface area. So I just thought I'd mention that. And the final part of the small intestine is the ileum. That's the ileum. So you've got the duodenum, then you've got that J word, and then you've got ileum, which is I-L-E-U-M. That's how it's spelled. It's the third part of the small intestine, and the final part of the small intestine is the ileum. So I just thought I'd mention that to you. So as we've already said, the glucose plus glucose is equals maltose, M-A-L-T-O-S-E, and that's a disaccharide. And glucose and fructose, glucose plus fructose goes to sucrose, and that's a disaccharide. So I just thought I'd say that disaccharide is spelled D-I-S-A-C-C-H-A-R-I-D-E. So I just thought I'd mention that, and that second part of the small intestine, the duodenum, that's responsible for absorption, and as I've mentioned, there's another word, assimilation, which is the absorption of substances which are then built into other compounds in the organism. So absorption of substances which are then built into other compounds in the organism. I just thought I'd mention that. So villi, if we think about it, the inner surface of the small intestine is folded and has finger-like projections called villi, which increase the surface area for the absorption of soluble food. So I just thought I'd mention that. Let me see and then I'm just going to talk about now the So if we talk about types of enzyme, the carbohydrates is a type of enzyme, and amylase, they're basically the same, do the same thing. They digest starch. They're produced by the salivary glands, pancreas, and small intestine, and so they're produced by those organs. And the action is the starch goes to sugar, goes to monosaccharide, e.g., glucose, and then you've got protease, and then you've got pepsin and trypsin, are two types of protease enzymes, and they're produced by the stomach and the pancreas and the small intestine. And again, the action is proteins go to amino acids and polypeptides, so that they're hydrolyzed to amino acids and polypeptides or peptides, I think something like that. And then lipase, which digests fat, is an enzyme that digests fats, is produced by the pancreas and the small intestine. So I've mentioned that one, and to do with the emulsification by bile, after emulsification by bile. So I just thought I'd mention that. I'm going to mention another thing now here. So we're talking about hydrolyzers is a chemical reaction in which water is used to break a chemical compound down. Hydrolysis, sorry, should I say hydrolysis? And so sucrose is a digestive enzyme, and it's secreted. Sucrose sucrase, S-U-C-R-A-S-E, right? That's a digestive enzyme secreted in the small intestine that catalyzes the hydrolysis of sucrose to its subunits, fructose and glucose. And I think there's also galactose as well. That's another monosaccharide, Galactose. I think so. So yeah, I thought I'd just mention that to you. And then in the large intestine, you've got transverse colon, ascending one and descending one, and I think it's that order. The transverse colon is higher up. Then you've got the ascending one. Then you've got the descending colon. So and then you've got the rectum right at the bottom of the small intestine, large intestine. So you've got colon and rectum in the large intestine. I just thought I'd mention that. So yes. I'd also like to just talk about something else now. Sorry about this. The exocrine glands. Now, exocrine glands, secrete chemicals through ducts, so through tubes, into cavities. So they usually secrete enzymes, e.g. digestive glands secrete digestive enzymes. So I just thought I'd mention that. So most of the pancreas is exocrine tissue. So it's EXOCRINE is exocrine tissue. The exocrine cells are called acinar cells. So I just thought I'd mention that to you. Acinar, ACINAR cells. So I just thought I'd just say that to you, mention that to you. And, right, so the exocrine cells are called acinar cells. They're found in clusters around the pancreatic duct. So that's a duct that goes to the duodenum, part of the small intestine. The acinar cells secrete digestive enzymes into the pancreatic duct. So you've got the enzymes that digest food in the duodenum, e.g. amylase breaks down starch to glucose. And as we know, that carbohydrates has a similar role. So I just thought I'd mention that. And so maltase, like sucrase, it converts maltose to glucose. So again, these disaccharides go to, which was disaccharide sucrase, it makes it go back to glucose. So these disaccharides go back to the glucose, which is they're hydrolyzed to glucose, so that that's their natural form, if you like. I just thought I'd mention that. So yeah, maltase converts maltose back to glucose. Like sucrase converts sucrose. Sucrase converts sucrose, and it hydrolyzes back to glucose, which is the blood sugar, the monosaccharide. The most abundant, common one is glucose. So I just thought I'd mention that. Yeah. So and there's another thing I want to talk about. In the small intestine, you've got phospholipase. So it's phosphor, PHOS, PHO, lipase. It digests fat, and it's produced again in the pancreas. So the pancreas dispatches stuff to the small intestine. So I've just thought. So yeah, if we just recap: amylase, carbohydrates, sugar, protease, protein, amino acids, lipase, fats, fatty acids, and glycerol. So I just thought I'd mention that to you. I think I've covered quite a few things, so I thought I'd thank you for that. Thank you very much.